Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Âtrium X Space. This week we'll be discussing, well, everything related to Âtrium. So we just had the release of the voting results of Diffusion. So we thought it was a good idea to discuss everything related to Diffusion and Âtrium this week. So excited for this one. We have a lot of information. So yeah, excited to get going. We have Peyton already. Let's see here. Hey, welcome. How are you doing, Peyton?
How are you doing today, Stephen?
I'm doing fine. Day is almost over for me, but yeah, doing well.
Yeah, we're about halfway through the day, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's an exciting week. I was just tweeting about this a little bit, and I think that the industry is gonna, it's shifting a little bit. I think, Trump was the local top, for the meme culture as we know it, and I think, a lot of that. The interest in cryptocurrency is going to move towards chains that provide utility, and Cardano's been developing for all these years, to be that chain, the chain for real world products and utility. And, I think the industry is starting to see that shift. So I'm excited. Happy
Yeah,
Wednesday.
happy Wednesday. Yeah, I thought it was curious that the Trump and Melania coin were launched just before taking office. So yeah, maybe some regulation related to that is upcoming. So yeah, I thought it was curious to see actually. It's good that we're focusing. Well, I don't have anything against meme coins. They do have their place in the ecosystem, but yeah, it's time to get real projects with utility, some spotlight as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have, any problem with meme coins either. I just have a problem with, scammers in the industry. And I think meme coins have been the latest, kind of method of taking people's money, and when there is actually no real, product launching or real world asset or utility. And, the whole point is that there's nothing there, it's hard, but we've seen some good meme coins launch on Cardano. I always particularly liked Snek because they, built an awesome community around them. They built, a huge ecosystem, and then they started building products out of it too. And they've just been grinding for years. So, I wouldn't say all meme coins are bad. It's just the pump fun kind of nature of meme coins that was happening on Solana, I think, was a net negative for our entire industry. But that doesn't mean every, meme coin out there is negative. Big fan of Snek. So for anybody just tuning in, thank you guys all for being here. It's our Wednesday space. We host these every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing, a kind of news every week. We're going to be doing some Âtrium news, some Cardano news, also the overall industry news. We'll also have different guests on each week. We may have somebody on from the Cardano Foundation or Catalyst or IOG or, anybody you can think of in the ecosystem. If they've got kind of something interesting, we may bring them on. So, we also added a new feature into Âtrium. I know a lot of our testnet users may have already seen it, but it's an exciting feature. Essentially you guys can go in there, you can type in a code in the specials category, and when you type in that code in the specials category, it will give you some XP. So we're going to start sprinkling these codes everywhere. You may see them in our articles, you may see them during our Twitter spaces, and one day, we're going to do some cool, even, evolve it, do even cooler stuff with it, where you can, maybe get a background from typing in the code. But right now it's XP. So you can type in that code, get some XP, level up your profile, and get unique backgrounds from the codes that we share. So we're not going to just share it, just yet. We're just getting started. I'm sure not everybody that's joining is going to be coming in. But yeah, we will share that in just a bit. We'll probably share it a couple of times, throughout the space for maybe some people that join in halfway through. But thank you all for being here. We're going to give you guys the opportunity to come up and ask questions later on as well, which is always exciting. But yeah, let's get started with the first news topic. 1 second. Let me pull up our list of items today.
Well, the biggest news item, I think, is the ratification of the new Cardano constitution. So that happened last epoch. So in fact, we had 100% approval rating from the interim constitutional committee and 84% DREP approval. So that's quite big. I didn't expect it too high. And since it's ratified now, you won't be able to vote anymore as a DREP. But the timeline to vote was not over yet. It ran into March, I think. So actually, there might still be other DREPs that would have voted yes that can't vote anymore now, actually. So the 84% could have actually gone even higher still. So yeah, quite surprised about that. Yeah, nice to see as an ecosystem.
Yeah, it is really nice to see, and I am surprised to see that they just, they cut off voting. That was a feature in governance that I didn't actually know about. I thought, people could continue voting even after it reached the threshold, but I guess once it reaches that threshold, it gets ratified.
Yeah, exactly. I also, yeah, for me personally, as a DREP in, well, we're in a DREP group. I don't have a DREP myself. But in fact, we had one meeting already discussing the Constitution, and in fact, we had to move up our second meeting where we formalized our rationale just to get it in time, because it was looking like it was going to be ratified, and yeah, at the end of that epoch, voting would have closed, so we had to scramble to get our vote in, actually.
Yeah, I voted on it. I voted yes on the Constitution last week. I think I might have mentioned this in the Twitter space, but I went to the workshop in Florida. It was in Tampa, Florida, near Tampa, Fort Myers, Florida, to be specific. It was hosted by Lloyd. And Lloyd works with Intersect, and he honestly hosted an amazing event there in Fort Myers. There was probably 30, 40 people that attended, and what we did is we just went back and forth on the Constitution, what we thought should be in there. And at the end of the event, there was somebody that was elected, to essentially represent that local area, represent Florida, the local jurisdiction there. And they, once they were elected, they went to Argentina. I didn't win in Florida, so I actually ended up going there as media and just recording stuff and kind of getting some interviews with people. And I got to watch it go down in Argentina. And I put this in my post last week, but to be honest with you guys, I was kind of a little nervous about it. Just the idea of somebody representing me and making decisions for me. It kind of made me nervous. Especially at least here in America. In my jurisdiction, that hasn't always worked out for me the best in the past, or worked out for the people around me, right? So I was a little nervous about it at first, and I went there and I just watched them. I sat in the back with my camera and watch them kind of argue and go back and forth about the Constitution. And I was, I felt represented. I actually did. I felt that, some of the concerns that I have were raised. The Constitution itself, it's not perfect, but I think it is a remarkable piece of work. I think that, people from all over the world, all of these different jurisdictions and different countries and different cultures and upbringings, they've all come together to kind of put their experience and what they've learned about the world into this Constitution, to ratify it, on a network of millions of people, that's decentralized. Like, it's, this is pushing, the way that we think about governing relationships and governing, people that work together, cooperation, and governance in general forward. So, what I really kind of didn't agree with, things that are in the Constitution are things that are not really enforceable on chain, right? I think that, anything in there, in my opinion, it should be enforceable on chain, because how else ought we, enforce some of these things, right? It didn't work out that way. There's some things in there that are not enforceable on chain, but there are some things in there that are enforceable on chain that, were great to be included in there. And the biggest thing that stood out to me was there was actually this line in the Constitution that we were only allowed one budget per year. So that means there can only be one big treasury withdrawal per year. And I thought that was horrible, right? Because that kind of forced everyone to kind of go through some centralized factor, in my opinion, to get funding, from the treasury, right? Some entity to get funding. And I didn't like that, so I'm sitting there and, I read the Constitution on the flight over again. And I'm sitting there in the back, like, please, somebody change this. And, without me even saying anything, I wasn't, allowed to even say anything. Somebody brought it up, and it got changed to allow multiple budgets per year. Right. So I think it's time, to get this Constitution on chain. We have to realize that, we are, the community is gaining power here. DREPs are here and alive. We can change protocol parameters. So, while everything's not perfect and not everyone's always going to be happy, this is a monumental step towards, the vision that I mean, in a way, it's almost finalizing, right? The vision that I heard in 2017 of smart contracts, of Voltaire, of Gauguin. That vision is there. What we're talking about now is the future, and this vision was so that we could adapt towards that future, right? If you look at Bitcoin, it's hard to change, it's hard to grow. It's why people call it the dinosaur chain, and that has some benefits and that has some faults, right? Ethereum, you essentially have a selected group of developers determining where the entire chain goes. And, some people like benevolent leaders. I'm not really the biggest fan of benevolent leaders, right? Whereas Cardano, it's governed, it's on chain. We've ratified a constitution now at this point. The community has voted it in. And, we can vote to change that constitution in the future. It takes a huge voter turnout to change that constitution, but it can be done. As we just saw, people showed up. So this would be ratified. A
Yeah.
lot of people along the way were nervous. Go ahead, Stephen.
No, it's okay. You cut out for a second.
What I was saying was there's really no guarantee that this was going to be ratified. Even when I was in Argentina, like a lot of the people there were not sure whether they were going to vote yes and ratify this, and they did after they came to agreements. And there was this kind of feeling in the air of like, is it possible to get all of these DREPs together to push this through? And we did. So it's exciting times. This really marks the future of our industry and of Cardano. So yeah, exciting times.
Yeah.
As my rant, Stephen.
That's a good rant. I like your rants. And one other thing that I noticed, that I think there are some World Mobile fans in the audience, even some SPOs that might be running a node for World Mobile, and so they rebranded and they announced a big partnership with a Philippines telecom operator. So it's always nice to see World Mobile, going out there and changing the world, decentralizing and bringing connectivity to.
Did I rug?
No, it's okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think. Yeah. Seems like he's dropping out. Can you hear me? Let me get Peyton back up here. Yeah. All right. I think he's back. Can you hear me, Peyton? All right. No, it's okay. I was talking about World Mobile and that they're keep expanding and reaching new areas and making collaborations with local players. So it's nice to see World Mobile is doing very well actually. And we have Brandolph coming up. Hey, how are you doing?
Good to see you, Brandolph.
Yeah, good to see you too, Peyton. And the person behind the Âtrium account?
It's Steven.
Steven.
Yeah. Hey.
Nice to meet you, Steven. Always love hearing you, but forget the name, sorry. I guess you were mentioning World Mobile and how they connected or partnered with Dito in Philippines. Well, actually, we can talk on a topic very similar to what World Mobile is experiencing and what you have experienced. Maybe you can enlighten us a little bit more on the topic of smart contracts and auditing. Because as you've probably known, World Mobile has suspended their rewards staking for quite some time, so they can do it via smart contracts. And the Cardano smart contract of World Mobile token staking is taking a little bit longer. And the team has said that it's because the audits are expensive and very, very hard to get through because there are not so many companies who are doing it. Since you have built 2 smart contracts, 3, maybe you can talk on what was your experience and why do you think there is a lack of affordable smart contract audits? Thank you.
Great question, and I appreciate you coming up here, Brandolph. So I've actually watched this evolve over time. You know, we first had the idea for staking baskets about 3 years ago. I want to say it was March of 2022, and 6 months after that, we were developing them. You know, we started the development of staking baskets, and this was before Icon was around. You know, there's essentially you can develop in Plutus, Plutarch, or you can develop in Icon. And we got started on staking baskets kind of, I think when Icon was in development, but nobody had actually used it for any smart contracts yet. And not only that, there also wasn't great tooling, for building transactions. Âtrium, you have the front end, and we use tooling to build transactions to submit them to the chain and connect with other wallets. And back then there wasn't the greatest of tooling around, and that evolved as well. So I would say that our experience, smart contracts, to be honest, they're the hardest thing that we've built within Âtrium. Integrating them, testing them, auditing them. It is complicated and it is expensive, but what I can say is it has gotten much better. Icon and the team developing Icon has pushed this entire community forward by making smart contracts, easier to write for most people. I was watching, a video from Charles today, and he explained it, I think, in a good way. If you want something that, is verifiably secure, that has high assurance, you can use Plutus still, to this day, right? But if you need something, done a little quicker, that's, more developers, it's going to be easier for them to understand it in terms of maintaining it, reading it, writing it. Use Icon. Icon's going to be the best tool for the job 90% of the time, unless it's something that's, very, very high assurance. As far as auditing firms, there are less auditing firms that audit, Cardano smart contracts. But, one thing I will kind of say here is that if you look at Ethereum and you look at, all of the smart contract hacks, like you have to accept that there are trade-offs, that come, from doing things in an entirely different and new way, right? By trying to build more secure smart contracts, people have to learn how to audit them. People have to learn how to write them. So I see where World Mobile's coming from with that, and there's likely some truth to it. But World Mobile's a huge ecosystem with a lot of people in it, and I think that they need ultimately the high assurance that Cardano offers, even if there is some high costs associated with that. Go ahead, Brandolph.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. It's because yeah, it's such a sensitive topic for everyone. People who don't know how long a development on Cardano can take because of this yeah, verifiable proofs and certainties, and sometimes of lack of developers that know the language, for example, the Haskell-based Plutus. And still, if it's still like a mystery, and people just ask, why is it on other chains faster, and why can't we do it better if we know that's a hurdle? What do you think about it? Would it be something that's for the next iteration of governance or catalyst, like a priority to make, together with IOG and Cardano Foundation and Morgo, whoever wants, and Astasia Labs, to create a set of tooling to enable another generation of developers to be able to build even better and faster on Cardano? And the second part of that question, what do you think about Midnight? Would this be a chance for Cardano smart contracts to become even more secure, because some of the information can be kept secret and still verifiable?
So to start with your first question, I think that we need to, maybe throw a little bit of money at, first and foremost, Laos, right? Because, the problem that we're talking about here specifically is paying rewards. And if you think about it, there's a lot of world mobile users. I don't know off the top of my head, but I imagine it's probably there's 100,000 minimum, world mobile token or world mobile token X holders on Cardano. So then you have to think of the data that's associated with that, right? So the data that's associated with that is 100,000 people. Well, let's say they have it staked, right? Well, let's say they're paying out the rewards every 5 days. So that means you have to store data for 100,000 people every 5 days, and then you have to store whether or not they've claimed it at all. Then you have to mint it and give it to them. You know, Part of the issue here is the cost that's associated with that. The block size limits, and just the ability to handle all of that at once. So I think, using the treasury to fund things like Laos, for example, that allows more throughput on Cardano, that could allow, to hold all of this data and in certain, blocks. I think that could definitely help, right? Um, but, I think that, people have to realize that, Cardano is kind of the jack of all trades solution, right? And it's highly focused on decentralization, right? And that's what people need out of a layer one, in my opinion. You know, People want a decentralized layer one that they can trust. That people can't double spend. They can't take your money. That can evolve with the times. you know Looking at the partner chain framework, and looking at Ethereum with their L2s that are quite parasitic. I think the proper balance here is to have different networks that still rely on Cardano's layer one, but offer different utilities for certain projects that are trying to accomplish a certain goal. So you mentioned Midgard. Treasury money, I'm not the arbiter of truth here, but I could see a world where treasury money being spent on Midgard could help projects facilitate large token payouts without spending a bunch of money on development, right? So,
sorry to interrupt you, Pay. I meant midnight, but
yeah,
Midgard, as well.
the reason I'm speaking about Midgard is because Midgard is kind of more focused on privacy, right? That was your second question. Could that offer more secure smart contracts? I'm still trying to address the first question of, could we spend Catalyst money and treasury money to make it easier for developers to accomplish, their goals ultimately? And kind of, my answer to that is that, Cardano probably shouldn't be used to pay out all of these tokens all at the same time, every epoch to 100,000 users. You are likely going to need a L2 to handle that, in my opinion. An L2 like Midgard. Getting to midnight. Midnight, essentially takes a bunch of transactions all at once, and uses ZK proofs to roll them all up. So midnight could be used to do that as well, and it could make it easier for developers. However, we have to realize that it is an entirely new blockchain, right? It is an entirely new framework as well. It is the partner chain framework. So in the same way that we're struggling, with tooling on Cardano, I would say we have struggled because the tooling is getting damn better. I'll be honest with you guys. But we have struggled with tooling in the past. So if we have this new partner chain framework coming out, with Midnight and ZK rollups, developers are going to have to learn how to handle all of this stuff and how to integrate the partner chain framework and how to bundle up all of their transactions into one. So that's kind of the answer to your question. Yes, I think the answer is yes to both of them, but we can't be idealistic about it. It will take some time.
Yeah, and to make Cardano sexy, we have to have something like Âtrium, because to be honest, there are a few dApps and services that look amazing, and Âtrium is one of them that do so. So I believe there's a chance for us all to make great things and to essentially have our social network, because at the moment I'm kind of really struggling with jumping from Discord to Discord and trying to pick everything that is happening right now. And I'm really looking forward to the social aspect of Âtrium, not only the staking basket and other, say, financial instruments, but also this like having profiles, chatting with people, seeing who is at the, I don't know, top of the influencer, without being harassed by the X advertisements and some really strange things that's posted in between. So yeah. And by the way, if you have like 1 minute time, I just want to thank you, Pei. You probably don't remember it, but 2 years ago, my first X space, where Twitter space, where I tried to talk, was at your space, and I was very nervous and very anxious. And yeah, you said very beautiful words and said, "Don't worry, I understand your question, and it's great to have you here." And that started the whole journey of my like self-confidence and being more active on X and on Spaces. So with that said, thank you, Pei, for being so patient with me and with your audience.
Well, thank you guys for being patient with me. I'm going to be wrong sometimes, and I may say something that makes you mad on Twitter. But I think that we all have the same goals in mind, and it's a good segue. You mentioned SocialFi, right? You know, I think that the crypto community right now is trying to, you know, use the tools that we have. And the tools that we have for socializing with each other is you know, Twitter, you know, X, YouTube, and you know, Medium and Discord. And you know, I think what, you know, not I think, but what we are doing at Atrium is we're trying to build blockchain focused social tools, because you know, Twitter isn't going to do that for us, neither is YouTube or Discord, right? And we can still use these tools to, you know, better connect with each other. But I think you know, Atrium is going to make you know, these connections stronger ultimately. And we do have some big news. The Diffusion SPOs were chosen. If you guys joined the SPO call yesterday, you probably already heard some of this news, but it's really exciting times. You know, I mentioned, you know, 3 years ago we had the ideas for staking baskets, and you know, staking baskets are a smart contract that allows you to delegate to over 100 different stake pools at the same time. You know, the Atma DAO is going to be launching Diffusion. You know, Diffusion delegates to 50 different single stake pool operators in the Cardano community, and it pays out Atma tokens on top of the ADA rewards. And those 50 stake pools were chosen by ADA holders. We hosted a vote over the last month. I would say, yeah, it was about a month exactly. We hosted a vote for a month, and you could use ADA to vote on your favorite pools in 5 categories. And, you know, the pools have been selected. So if you could, Stephen, share that article up top there in case people haven't seen it. But if you go through that article, you can see all of the awesome pools that were selected. And you know, if you didn't make it, don't worry. You know, Diffusion is the first basket that's launching through Atrium. You know, in the future, there'll be more baskets. There'll be more ways to be involved. And once the Atma token is actually out and live, you guys will be able to use the Atma token to vote to add in new pools or remove certain pools, or come up with new missions. So it's exciting times. You know, this is a huge step for us towards mainnet. And I mentioned this again in the SBO call yesterday, but we're going to be releasing a new feature on Atrium, specifically on the alpha, you know, alpha.atrium.io. And, you know, as I mentioned, well, I haven't mentioned that yet in this space. We launched another new feature that allows you to actually claim Atma tokens on top of your ADA rewards for using Diffusion on testnet. So what you're going to be able to do is claim those Atma tokens, and you're going to be able to start staking them directly in Atrium. And when you go to stake them, you're going to be staking them to you know, a stake pool or another user you like, or you could stake them even to yourself. But what you're going to be choosing is a profile. And right now we have a leaderboard in there where everybody's ranked by XP. But you know, users are going to be using Diffusion, delegating to 50 different single stake pool operators at the same time, and then earning Atma, and then taking that Atma and then delegating it to their favorite SPOs, their favorite protocols, their favorite DEXs, their favorite DAOs, to push them higher, you know, to bring them more virality. And you know, if you guys have used the testnet, you know, the vision's starting to come together. You know, our goal with Atrium was to make Cardano easy, so that when somebody asks you, you know, the bull market could be here soon, could be next year, could be next month, and none of us know. But the goal with Atrium is when that time comes, when everybody's asking, you know, what is Cardano? What is crypto? How do I get involved? That you hand them Atrium. And, you know, they learn about staking. They learn the real technology that Cardano can provide to the world, instead of, you know, getting dumped on in Millennia Coin. You know, that's the hope, right? So when somebody asks you, what is Cardano? You give them Atrium. And then once they're on Atrium and they're learning what is staking, they're learning what is a staking basket and delegating to 50 pools, they're getting this Atma token. And this Atma token is a membership in a DAO, you know, will govern baskets, that will govern profile NFTs, and govern, you know, the DAO that Atrium Lab is integrating on the front end. And you know, our goal is to bring all of these new users, these new members of the Cardano DAO now, since we got that constitution through, hell yeah, and the Atma DAO. You know, we want to bring those users to projects, SPOs, you know, DEXs, you know, stake pools, as I mentioned. So go ahead, Stephen.
No, and also wanted to mention DREPs. So DREPs will also be able to have profiles, and yeah, it should. How great would it be if as a delegator to a DREP, you would be able to follow what they are doing, follow their comments, follow their voting behavior, see if they voted, how they voted. So that's something that's still lacking at the moment. So, and that's something that that's also possible with profiles. So you can check up on your favorite DREP and what they are doing and how they are thinking just directly from Âtrium.
So I think it's time, 1 second, Brandolph. I think it's time to give out that code. So as I mentioned earlier, we released a new feature that allows you to type in a code, get some XP so you can level up your profile NFT. If you're just tuning into this space, we're actually running a test net right now. Sorry about that. alpha.atrium.io. You can mint a profile and start leveling it up. In the challenges screen, you go to special, you can type in a code, and that code will reward you to some XP. We're just trying to reward the people that show up to our spaces and help push our content out there to the wider community. What is that code, Stephen, that we have today?
The code is show up. Show up to the space. So yeah, so show up, try to see if it works. Should be. I tried it. So there's some alpha for you. Go redeem that code.
Now the space numbers are going to drop in half, damn it. Brandoff, what was your question?
Well, it was not a question, but just to add to what Stephen was telling about DREPs and the profiles. What I was actually thinking, this is a very, very important feature if the governments evolves, because since those people are representatives, they represent something or community. And in the future, you have to see how they vote and how they voted and what are their essential mission and goals. And it would be like really great. I don't know if you know, there's like a medium, it's called Ground News. It's sorts some different articles into left, right, or center. And this is how you get a better feeling of what is the medium or the person behind, if it's biased or not. So it would be really, really great if Âtrium could add more and more features and build up those DREP profiles with information that will help delegators to to get informed on the actions of the DREP, and then they can choose to delegate to them or not.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, when you log into Âtrium right now, you connect your wallet. You can see in the top right-hand corner of the dashboard, there's this little latest box there. And I've always envisioned a world where, I'm logging into Âtrium. It's first thing in the morning. I already had my workout in, went on the walk. And then, I log in and then it just says, your DREP has voted. Awesome. Your stake pool has lowered their fee. Oh, that's amazing. The World Mobile has just launched, World Mobile has 1 million new users, right? Like, that's kind of the vision that we have for Âtrium. And, I want everybody to keep in mind that we are still a small team. And what we're doing right now is we're gearing up for mainnet. And what you see in the alpha, .atrium.io is, what's coming to mainnet, minus Atma staking. Atma staking may be, a few weeks or a month, behind profile NFTs and staking baskets on mainnet. But, in these spaces, we're going to kind of, talk about the vision, because I believe the foundation for that vision is there. And, we want to, integrate history for DREPs, and, we want to integrate notifications, but these things may take some time, just to forewarn you. And we want to hear everybody's feedback as well. If you guys are in the Discord, we have channels in there as well for suggestions, feature suggestions. And, to be quite honest with you guys, we kind of detailed a lot of this DREP stuff out in a Catalyst proposal that was submitted. It didn't make it through in the last fund, and that's okay. We still want to build it. We just got to get mainnet launched and live first. And what we had envisioned with that is you go to somebody's profile, let's say it says, you go to my profile at Big Pay, you get on there, there's a tile for, my DREP history, my DREP data, maybe it shows, how many people are delegated to me, how much ADA is delegated to me, and then my past votes, right? And then there's another tab that says, I'm affiliated with the Bloom stake pool. And then there's another tab that says I'm also using the Diffusion Staking Basket. So I'm delegating to over 60 pools at the same time in a little tile there. And then another little tab that says I'm affiliated with Âtrium, right? So that's the vision. Then people can follow me, right? They can take the Atma tokens and stake them to my profile to, you know, to prove my influence ultimately. And what it's actually going to look like, once we launch mainnet is, people aren't going to have the profile pages just yet. And as soon as they're there, there'll be data pages, and that will be the foundation from that or of that. And then over time, we'll just add kind of more features, on top of profiles, give people more customization options, kind of tile options as well. And eventually, on top of doing this DREP stuff, we'd also like to, be able to customize the dashboard one day. It seems pretty far away now. But, you're a big, World Mobile fan. You're going to be an Earth node, or you are an Earth node operator. So, imagine, you're on the dashboard and you just see a little tile that says, World Mobile staking rewards or World Mobile token price instead of ADA, because you're more focused on World Mobile at that moment. What we're trying to do is build, your dashboard. It'll just take some time before we get there.
So we've talked about profiles quite some bit already, and thanks, Brendel, for the suggestions and the kind words. But maybe we should go back to, well, not go back, talk a bit about staking baskets as well. We have quite a number of selected stake pools in here as well. So congrats to everyone that got selected for the Diffusion basket. So yeah, maybe we can give a bit of an update about staking baskets and Diffusion and how that will look in the future.
Sure. So we did an SPO call yesterday. So if you're making this call but you missed the call yesterday, we're going to be hosting these SPO calls until mainnet once a month in the Discord. Discord has a Twitter Space like feature. You guys may have used it in the IOG Discord before, but we'll send you guys notifications. We'll tag you in the Discord for the calls in the future. But as far as what you guys have to do, ultimately it's nothing. This delegation just will show up in your mainnet stake pool as more people deposit. But what we'd like to ask you to do is help us market the idea of staking baskets. As I mentioned earlier, when people ask you what is Cardano, you hand them Âtrium. I think that the reason Cardano is successful at this point, one of the bigger reasons, in my opinion, is because of stake pool operators. It's because there were thousands of people willing to spend time with their friends, their family, their local community, and teach them, some of the good parts of blockchain. Some of the cooler sides of the blockchain, in my opinion. Teach them about staking and real world assets and banking the unbanked. After they're connected by World Mobile ultimately. But yeah, I think it's the SPOs that brought Cardano into the light. I think that Cardano's in the top 10 because of the SPOs. That's a big claim, but it's what I believe. And I think that we can do that with diffusion. The idea of staking baskets, one of them is that instead of having just one stake pool, one guy who's, good at, running the stake pool, imagine you had 50 individuals that were all working together to market one entity, and then they all benefit equally from that. Right. So, obviously the Atma token is going to be being paid on top of those ADA rewards. So people are going to be incentivized through that. Also they're going to be getting their normal ADA rewards, and I'm going to be marketing the hell out of it with you guys. So it's going to be 50 stake pools, marketing this. If you guys have the time or the ability, we're willing to take suggestions, any graphics that you guys would like to see, or, any unique ways to market. I also wanted to use this space if there's any, SPOs in here that want to come up and, kind of share their story or talk about their pool, feel free to come up and request speaker. But our goal with Diffusion, our first goal is to get 50 million ADA in that staking basket. Is it guaranteed? Nothing in this world is guaranteed, but I think it's a damn worthy goal. We've got 50 stake pools in there. Let's get every single stake pool a million ADA a piece, to start, and show the world staking baskets. And instead of just me doing it, I think that if all of us do this together and work on marketing this basket, this opens up a world for baskets in the future. And if you think about the concept of baskets, right? Look at a DEX, for example. If you're depositing liquidity into a DEX, you're worried about slippage. You're worried about the price of this token going down, and it's too complicated. And people complain that not enough people are using Cardano's smart contracts or increasing Cardano's TVL. I think that baskets are a good solution to that, because it's demoing what Cardano does best, right? It's staking, right? It's the decentralization, and I think that stake has been very sticky for the past few years. And you've had products, great products launched to kind of show that people are looking for additional incentives on top of their ADA rewards. And what we've decided to do is not launch an ISO where we're running a stake pool and charging 100% fees. What we're doing is we're going to drive stake to 50 different single stake pool operators. Instead of charging 100% fees, charge somewhere around 10% ADA fees, and then give the users 90% of their ADA rewards plus the additional token. And instead of bringing all of that stake to one pool, we bring that to 50 stake pools, right? And I think that we can remove the stickiness of stake on Cardano. I think that the way that we need to further decentralize Cardano is by incentivizing it, right? That's what Pledge was supposed to do. That's where the idea popped in my head from staking baskets. It's from the Pledge parameter. The goal with the Pledge parameter was to incentivize Cardano's decentralization by paying people more, right? There's no guarantee that the basket's going to pay people more. I can't guarantee that. But that is, that's our goal. Incentivize Cardano's decentralization, right? And we could use your help. And if there's 50 of us all marketing, the launch of Âtrium, the launch, because staking baskets, Diffusion is launching at the same time as Âtrium, along with all of the education, along with the profile NFTs. We're going to make a big impact, and it's not going to be just a big impact on Cardano. My tweets at this point are reaching the wider cryptocurrency community too. And we need to show, this industry, in my opinion, that Cardano is unique. We're not just launching another DEX or another pump.fun. This is a brand new product that nobody has ever launched before that can only be done on Cardano. And we have to show the entire industry that. And I think that we can if all 50 of us work together. Brandoff, what you got for us?
Yeah, just to iterate what you've said with the words of Mickey Watkins, because he says it a lot. Together, we are unstoppable. And that's being said, if everyone makes a little effort, the effort adds and the work adds, and we can do everything, anything. So there are multiple examples of that. Yeah, but I was just wondering on the term of baskets, and you spoke about the A0 parameter. What happens since we have governance and people decide to increase the K parameter to 1000? So the stake is cut in half, the upper boundary. What will happen if the pools, if the diffusion basket has so much ADA, that would be great. But what happens when the K parameter goes up and it oversaturates those pools? Do you have a mechanism of how you can reduce the impact, or is it like a self-adjusting thing?
Yes. So right now, when Diffusion launches on mainnet, all of the ADA stake is going to be split evenly amongst all 50 stake pool operators that are in the basket. So if you deposit 1,000 ADA, that divided by 50 is what each stake pool is going to have. The caveat is unless they're very, very close to saturation, then that ADA is then going to be split among the other 49 that are not close to saturation. If the K parameter is changing, we're going to have a little bit of time to know about this. What the ATMA community can do is they can vote to double the amount of stake pools. So if the K parameter is going to go from 500 to 1,000, which is a big jump, then the ATMA community can come together and say, well, we need to add in 50 more stake pools. And that's the way it's done, because all of those 50 pools would then be close to saturation at that point, depending on their stake, right? So, the ATMA community will decide.
And also something that's possible even without adding more pools is, at least in the short term, it's possible to make it not an even adjustment. So as Peyton said, if a pool will become close to saturation, there will just be some of that stake taken from the large pool and be given to the smaller pools. So the large pool that might become saturated doesn't have an influence, because actually if it becomes saturated, it will have a negative impact. And other smaller pools will get more delegation. So there are multiple ways that this can be resolved by giving stake to smaller pools, so the large pool doesn't oversaturate, or add more pools, or combinations of all of the above, I guess.
Wow, that's interesting, really, to have thought about any eventuality regarding the future. That's what I guess makes writing a smart contract so difficult, because you have to think of so many things that can occur.
Yeah, definitely taking everything into account. The thing is, you can only launch a smart contract once. So we've seen that with the DEXs. They have their Plutus V1 liquidity pools, and once the ADA is in there, well, it's not locked, but it's not easily changed, and the smart contract is not easily changed. So they launch a second smart contract that has upgrades, but then the liquidity needs to move. So you only get one shot at launching a smart contract. So that's definitely one of the trickier parts of writing and deploying a smart contract. There's a lot of things to take into account, I guess.
But Atma DAO would still be able to decide if, for example, years passed and you've come up with even better smart contract, or things change, updated.
I think we lost you there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
I can hear you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so I was thinking about the possibility of the future Atma DAO that can decide to move this liquidity to a updated version of a smart contract. Is this something that can be done in years to come, when I don't know, there's a better idea, better version of this initial smart contract with added features? Would it be possible for the Atma DAO community to decide, okay, we want to move this liquidity someone else?
So with the staking baskets V1 that's launching, no one will ever be allowed to move the ADA that's in the basket to another smart contract, right? So in the future, the Atma DAO could vote to launch a new smart contract and have that be the official or the main smart contract that's delegating to the 50 pools. The first smart contract will still have to be maintained for a certain amount of time, and people will have to click a button to move their assets to the second smart contract. So yes, it's possible, but it's not just this easy thing, where we can vote and then everybody's ADA is all moved overnight without them knowing about it. Somebody actually has done that before. And, I don't want to get this, wrong at all. So I'll say what I do know. But Indigo has launched a very, very impressive DAO framework and infrastructure on Cardano. And they, at this point, already have the ability to upgrade a smart contract, through a DAO vote, all on chain. It's quite impressive. So, that is the future that we are heading towards. However, I'm not sure personally if a DAO could vote to move everyone's ADA to a new smart contract, right? Because you have a trade-off here. You have a trade-off of user experience, right? Where a user is now going to have to click a button to move to the contract, or you have a trade-off of maybe the DAO makes the wrong decision, about the upgrade or something, and there's obviously, ways to limit assumptions when you're launching a new smart contract so that would never happen, but these are decisions that, have not been decided yet. But, in the future, it's possible. Just the user experience, it may change.
Yeah, to have an upgradable smart contract, it's not a tricky thing. And as Peyton mentioned, the staking basket smart contract, the work on that started, what is it again, Peyton? A year and a half, 2 years ago already, I think. So
yeah, it's done now, but it did start about 2 years ago.
yeah. So at that time, yeah, like Peyton mentioned, the developer tooling was yeah dramatically different than now. So 2 years ago, starting to write a smart contract that's upgradable as well. Yeah, I wouldn't want to start doing that 2 years ago, actually. So maybe now, if you start from scratch now, maybe that now that the ecosystem is more mature, yeah. But 2 years ago, I wouldn't have started on that, to be honest, if it was me.
I didn't meant it like that, like forcibly move the smart contract to another version. I was just thinking because everything that Pei said about the social fi of the network, where you can get notifications and integrate, for example, a wallet inside of Âtrium, you could have like a dashboard that's tells you what is happening news-wise on Cardano, but also what is happening blockchain-wise on Cardano. Because now it's kind of very, if you are not attentive as a delegator, you might miss that your stake pool is deprecated, closes, or in a sense, the stake pool operator is a very bad actor and he forgot to update, I don't know, the CAS keys, or withdrawn from the pledge, and the pool is not minting blocks. So you always have to stay vigilant and look actively for this information. But what Pei was telling, if it's possible to be notified in the morning, you're drinking your coffee and there's a notification of Âtrium, hey, your stake pool is retiring, please move to another one. Or I don't know, this can also be done with something like, oh, the Atma DAO voted for an improved version of Diffusion Basket. Would you like to switch? Please click and sign the transaction. And that's it. Don't have to, I don't know, do things, have some hurdles, and try to stay, up to date. But it would be like easier to have it in one place.
We agree completely. For anybody just tuning in, we host these spaces every Wednesday at 11 a.m. EST. We have different guests on. We talk about Cardano news, Âtrium news, Atma news, overall industry news. We let people come up and ask questions. Have a little bit of a AMA style at the end. And this is the end. This is the end of the space today. I appreciate you guys all being here. We had a great turnout today. We do have a special code that you guys can use today. The code is show up. Show up to our Twitter spaces. We're going to be sprinkling these codes everywhere. So, the test net, it's going to be ending soon. So make sure you guys are in there leveling up your profiles. The higher level means more tokens airdrop to your mainnet wallet. So make sure you guys are in there, leveling up, show up to the spaces if you have time. We'll be sprinkling codes and stuff throughout to reward those that show up. So appreciate you guys all being here. We'll have another great space next Wednesday at 11 a.m. EST. Thank you for coming up, Brandoff, with all of your great questions. I appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen, for keeping us on track. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Wednesday.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and make sure you check back next Wednesday with another great topic and great guests. See you. Bye.